When last time you bought her a gift, took her out
Mm,
to eat, took her
mm,
on a vacation? You
mm-hmm,
ain't even got the time because you can't even afford to miss when they're at work.
mm,
Because of your poor family planning. You
mm,
meanwhile, I'm not calling you a bum. You at Wegmans and you at Walmart. Nobody calling you a bum. You
mm,
working. But you're working at dead-end jobs. Ain't like you're gonna be
mm-hmm.
the supervisor next week or the manager. Where we going with this? And even if you are, that's what? That's more responsibilities. There's a little bit more pay.
Yeah, for a little
You're
bit
better.
more pay.
You're right. You're better off being a barber, a carpenter, a
Entrepreneur,
plumber, an engineer, an
and yeah,
entrepreneur,
engineer. Yeah.
because now you're not exchanging
Power to
dollars
the
for
people if
hours.
you understand, sing for me. Yeah. Power to the people if you understand, sing for me. Say you feel me. Power to the people if you understand, sing for me.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the People's Podcast. I'm your host, Ismail Shaheed, back with Jamil El Shabazz. It's always a pleasure having you, my brother, man. We got to talk
Likewise.
about. It's always a pleasure, man. So I'm glad to have you back on the show, man, and talk about some issues, man. That's been we're in a different society now, different environment. There's so much going on around us. It's always about trying to bring awareness to what the people are going through, what the people of culture is going through, and I like to always bring you on, man, because you always, give some good insight, as to, you know, what we going through. And there's a few topics I want to talk to you about, and
Hmm.
today on this particular episode, fatherless homes, social conditioning, and economics. And those are the three topics, man, that you really always touch on, man, with your posts on Facebook and the things that you say, that build conversation. Conversation builds interest, builds change, builds, you know what I'm saying? Conversation leads to these things. So, I mean, what's one of the topics you want to touch on first, man? What do you want to hit first, man?
I think we should hit. I have a dot in the corner that says I'm 93%, so I hope I'm connected.
Yeah.
Now I'm a bit down at 94%, 88%. But as long as
No,
you
no,
can
no,
see
you
me and
connected.
recording, we're good.
Yeah,
Okay,
you caught it.
cool.
You connected. Yep.
I think unfortunately we're one of the only races I know that we place a great emphasis on religion, which religion does have a place, especially in our
Mm-hmm.
history and our community. We don't place enough emphasis on economics. Other races have been able to balance the two. So when I look at Muslims from other countries, they'll come here, open restaurants, become doctors, lawyers, engineers, but still never miss Juma prayer,
Mm.
still never miss a salat, still give dawah. They seem that they can balance it all. The Hindus, the Sikhs, the Buddhists, they'll be a Buddhist, but they'll be a doctor. We'll be a Buddhist or a Hindu or a Christian or a Muslim, but be asking you after Juma prayer, can I hold for Alice? I need to catch a bus home. Like, brother, you're well versed in Quran and Hadith and Sirah and Fiqh and Sharia and world events because you've been talking for an hour after Juma Salat. But you need money to get home. Now I don't mind giving that to you. Charity and zakat has its place, but what are we doing to put ourselves in a position where we don't have to be beggars? We don't have to ask because the hand it gives, but then the hand it receives.
Let me
So a
ask
lot
you a
of times in
question.
religious communities, I think that economics is not an issue we place much emphasis on, and it's sad.
It's not, but let me ask you a question because
Hmm.
from we both from the Brooklyn, New York
Hmm.
neighborhoods, right?
Hmm.
Where was economics? I asked my father one time. I said, "Man, pops, why you
Good
never
man, good
give
man,
us?" I
good
said,
man. I miss him.
"Pops,
Good man,
I miss him a lot, man."
good
But
man.
I asked him the question about economics, like, "Pops, why you never taught us like why economics wasn't on the?" He said that like I said, we from the Brooklyn, New York area. What
Hmm.
was everybody trying to do in that time in those areas
Survive,
growing up? Survive.
survive.
So how is economics going to play a role in survival? I mean, you understanding now that you see it as you get older that
Hmm.
economics is going to play a role in you moving forward
Major role.
with your with what you're
Hmm.
doing, how you're going to
Hmm.
provide for your kids and your grandkids.
Hmm.
But when you were growing up, in the Brooklyn era, 70s, 80s, 90s,
Hmm.
that wasn't on the mind, man. That wasn't on the mind.
So to give you a little further background on me, my father was a Mason. My father was a
Mm-hmm.
Baptist minister.
Mm-hmm.
He would preach at the church on New York Avenue in Brooklyn,
Mm-hmm.
Union Methodist Church, man of the cloth, not a man of means. He had 14 children. What else about Europeans is that they do something called family planning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dad might be making 110,000 a year. Mom might be making 60, and they may decide, even at that level of being middle class in America, we're going to do two kids.
Mm.
We kind of live by the wish creed. We make 18 children, and we wish everything works out. We
Mm.
hope everything works out. They don't hope, they don't wish, they plan.
Yeah, they're playing.
They say, okay, we're going to have two children, and we're going to start a fund as soon as they're born. And we're going to let the fund grow and grow and grow. And even we have an economic emergency, we're not going to touch the fund. We're not going to pull from the fund to buy sneakers. We're not buying them Jordans out the fund. We're not buying them Xbox out the fund. That's out of extra money and other money. This fund for
Mm.
college is for college. It's not to be touched under any circumstances. Now when Johnny's 18 and Mikey's 18, they don't need student loans. If they want to do what you did and go get a trade, they'll be alone. So I don't want to go to college. I want to go to be a plumber. Oh, go to trade school. It's money in the bank for you already. You see what I'm saying? So we're
Yeah.
the only ones who, we have 18 children and we wish and hope they can get a Pell Grant, SEOG, EOP, student loans. The loans come with riba. That's interest. That's forbidden in Islam. But many of us are involved in it though. Took out loans. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, I mean, we have to think ahead. Wisdom can be described sometimes as being able to see things before they happen. So what's going to be the future of 18 children or 10 children if I make $5 an hour in Brooklyn working on a railroad? You know what I'm saying? Like what's going to be the future? How they going to live? Now, sometimes we know from the history of African American, Muslim, not Muslims, they got so jammed up, they took a criminal route. So maybe brother is working as a bus driver, selling weed on the side, or he might move a package. Now his life goes from being a bus driver to being inmate. Under Rockefeller laws, you might not see dad for 20 years.
Mm.
Dad was only trying to get some gifts for the Eid or some Christmas toys. You see what I'm saying? But because he didn't play his
Yeah.
hand correct economically, now he's cellmate number 74698, whatever. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Under Rockefeller laws, he might have went away in 1980, came home in the year 2000. By that time, Abdul Aziz and Abdullah and Abdul Kareem, they grown now. He got grandchildren now. It's
So
terrible.
let me ask you a question.
Hmm.
Being that all of that, all of the, all those things can happen. All those things
Hmm.
are
And has,
a
unfortunately.
part of and has happened is a
Hmm.
part of somebody's story somewhere along the line at some
Where?
point.
Line. Right.
Now, what do we do now moving forward? Because I'm gonna say that I think I'm watching the younger generation. Our generation skipped it. The generation
Hmm.
before us skipped it. Like we said, it was
Hmm.
survival. Then we
Hmm.
started to, think of, oh man, well, we gotta do more than survive. We gotta exceed
Thrive.
and go higher and go, yeah.
Right.
And now this
Right.
younger generation is picking up, man, because uh um uh, uh, whether we like it or not, man, this, we know, like you said, riba is haram for Muslims.
Hmm.
But this is
Oh, and those who don't
how
know,
you gonna buy a
riba
home
is
right now
interest.
today.
Right.
How you gonna buy a home right now today without you got straight cash? You got $100,000, $200,000 to buy a home, and even if you did, they're not letting you buy a home without putting it on a credit. They're not letting you buy a car right now without putting it on credit. Even if you saved up enough money, if you buying a $10,000 car, maybe, but if you buying
Hmm.
a decent car to get you around
Hmm.
$50,000, $40,000, you don't have that to drop cash. So now what you do now to understand how money is being moved now, society is being moved now. What's the plan now? What do we do now to build wealth and build up the African American communities, man, and the
Moving forward,
homes?
moving forward, we must learn that S word and that D word. That S word is sacrifice. That D
Mm-hmm.
word is this discipline. Those are your
Mm-hmm.
friends. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't, and the P word, patience. If you don't have patience, If you're not willing to sacrifice and you don't have discipline, you might as well hang it all up. Those are
Mm-hmm.
key components, and determination and belief in oneself. Those are key components to being successful. Bad habits ain't your friend. Cigarette smoking is a bad habit. Drinking liquor is a bad habit. Going to
Mm-hmm.
clubs with popping bottles is a bad habit. Overeating is a bad habit. That all gets at your pockets and your
Mm-hmm.
health, mentally and physically. So until we start to reinstitute the discipline that our forefathers had, we're not going to make it. Case in point, Magic Johnson's father had 10 children. He worked 2 jobs, and his mother worked. His father told him, if you want to see me, son, you're going to have to get up very, very, very early in the morning or be up very, very late at night.
Mm.
But salute to him. He made no excuses. He did what he had to do. 10 children in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, that's no
Excuse me.
joke.
Yeah.
Mama working, daddy working 2 jobs. When do you see your parents?
Mm.
Magic saved the show because he was a talented ball player.
Yeah.
Now everybody eating. But how many years went by before that happened? So he
Yeah.
worked for GM and he worked on a garbage truck. And that's what he told his son. He who plans to fail, no, he who fails to plan, plans to fail.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, people nowadays are having sex and going to court.
I can't see. You gotta lower the camera a little bit.
Oh,
I
I
can't.
said,
Oh yeah, there
see me
you go.
now?
There you go. Yeah.
I said, people are having sex and going to court.
Mm-hmm.
Did we skip a component here? No marriage? Straight zina? People are having sex and going to court. They're not even getting married. How's that going to pan out for your child? By the time you get to
Mm.
court, you can't stand him and she can't stand you. You don't think the child feels this when the child's in the womb? Your family don't like my family? My family like your family. How that's going to work for the child?
But
But
what's
we
the
make,
economics part of it? Because we're dealing in the economics part of
right,
it.
the
Before
economics
we
part of
move to
it,
that part, we're
right.
dealing with the economics part. How do we
Here's
move
the
forward?
economics.
Mm-hmm.
Economically, I already messed up. I already had a baby out of wedlock.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a good paying job. Like you
Mm-hmm.
don't have a trade.
Mm-hmm.
That's economics. So now I put my
Okay.
child behind the 8 ball already because I have to play the game of catch up. Now, in order to make ends meet, let's go with a good scenario. Let's say I do get married, or I get her pregnant
Mm-hmm.
and I marry her. Let's say I do
Mm-hmm.
stay in the home, but I don't have these
Mm-hmm.
skills. So now she's mad because she can't see me because 8 hours I'm at McDonald's and the other 8 I'm at Price Shopper. When do I have time for my child?
Mm.
I fornicated. I put the cart before the horse. I tried to be a good dude. I married her. But economically, from the start, I was in no position to have a baby with her in the first place.
Yeah.
But what did I say? Discipline, patience, sacrifice. I couldn't control my nafs, my lower self. I engaged in fornication with her. She got pregnant. We have a baby. I don't have any job skills. But I'm at Walmart though, working 14 hours a day. She's upset when she sees me because she never sees me. The child don't see me. I'm mad because I don't feel appreciated because I'm trying to make ends meet and you still whining about something. See
Mm.
where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
This is the dysfunction we have in a black home. Now moving forward, how can we heal a fix a problem? Get our affairs in order. Before you make a baby, maybe you might want to have 40K in the savings account. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you want
I
to have
mean,
a good job. Now, somebody might say, well, 40K, that's a lot of money. Not really. It's not. You can go to 40K like that. You can. Trust me, I know. You can. All you have to have is a little disaster in your house. A roof,
okay.
plumbing,
Let me give you another scenario.
car breakdown,
Let me give you
lose your
another
job.
scenario. Let
Mm-hmm.
me give you a different scenario. Because we
Mm-hmm.
talking about the worst case scenarios right now.
Right.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, poor decisions,
Right.
poor
These are
planning.
poor outcomes.
Yeah,
Right. These are poor
we
outcomes.
talking about the
Right.
worst
Poor
case scenario.
everything.
So let's
Right.
give us a good scenario. Let's give us a good scenario. Young kid,
Good.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, 2 parents struggling. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they in the hood. You know,
Mm-hmm.
both parents are working. And like you said, same difference. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you want to see me, you got to either get up real early or you get down
You
late.
get real life
You
night.
know,
Right.
he's a good kid in school. He's not skipping
Mm-hmm.
school. He gets straight A's. He's trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what college you go to. Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
sports that he's following, football, basketball,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe it's science that he's following. He wants
Uh-huh.
to be a scientist. You
Mm-hmm.
know, give that scenario. Either he's
hmm
still coming from a poor neighborhood or ghetto
hmm
neighborhood or bad neighborhood or rough environment where
hmm
parents are struggling. Economics is not on a big thing on the table. What's
hmm
his plan moving forward? What's the plan moving forward? Did the parents have a
He's
plan? Does he have a plan? What's
he's
his
going to
next
have to
step?
change the trajectory. He's going to have to change the narrative.
Of
He's
the
going to have to
family.
get right because he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want to repeat history.
Mm-hmm.
That's the mistake we made.
Mm,
Campbell backing off the mistakes our forefathers made. They
mm,
made some mistakes, and
mm-hmm.
then we follow in their footsteps because children learn what they live.
Yeah.
So, um, if I have a history of having umpteen wives, then my children might think that's what you do. Pop had 9 wives, 10 wives, and what's wrong with that? No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, no. You want to be better than me because in having all those wives, I created dysfunction. You don't want that. You don't want that.
Well,
The problem with having a child in the Bronx, 2 in Brooklyn, and 1 in Manhattan is when do they bond? 2 different
yeah.
households. When do they bond? During holidays? You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
either out of court for child support or custody battles. That's not how I grew up. My father had 14 children. We
Mm,
all in the same house. 79 St. Mark's Avenue, 2F, 6th floor. By the time I was grown, it was maybe 2 left from the first wife. Then I came along. They moved out. So at one time, there was maybe 4 of us in the same apartment at one time, 4-bedroom. We wasn't rich. We were poor. We were okay. We survived.
mm-hmm.
That word. We survived. No one
Yeah.
thrived. No one had a car. We ain't going on family vacations. So two
Mm-hmm.
things can happen. It can make you hungry or it can make you a criminal.
Mm.
Or both. You see what I'm saying? Because now you like, yo, how can I get out of this hood? Or
Oh
how can I
yeah.
be the best looking dude in the hood? How can
Yeah. A
I
lot
have
of
the Adidas, the Pumas? How can I have the sheepskins? I'm old.
we all know that story.
Yeah, the other bombers, the
The
gazelles. How can
Shirley.
I
Yeah.
have
The
that?
Shirley.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
How can I have all
Yeah.
that? The
Yeah.
sharkskins, the
Yeah.
botnecks. Oh,
Yeah.
I can start moving packages throughout the building
Yeah.
until I found myself on Rikers Island or Spofford. You see what I'm saying? So how do we break that epidemic? How do we break that cycle? The key is, I don't want to be cliche, but the key is always education. It don't have to be a Harvard degree. Do what you do. I have a trade. I can cut hair. I can do plumbing. I'm a carpenter. Those skills can go anywhere in the world. So I think it's about making yourself skilled and useful. We live in the age of
Mm.
technology. I'm so behind the times, I'd ask my son how to lock my phone. I ain't know how to put a lock on the phone. Something
Mm.
simple. My son
Mm.
tell me I'm a college graduate. But when you're not
Mm-hmm.
technologically advanced, the world keeps moving. You be left behind. I'm pretty
That's what I'm
educated. I just
saying.
not good with technology.
It's so much avenues now where people. There's a lot of avenues, man, where
Oh, there's no
people can.
excuses now.
Yeah,
No
there's no
excuses now.
excuses now, man. It's way
Yeah,
too many
yeah.
avenues now,
People are
man.
blaming Trump. They're blaming
Yeah.
DEI. No, I survived
Yeah.
Reagan. I ain't worried about Trump.
Yeah.
I survived Reagan.
That
I survived Carter. I
I don't know,
survived
man. I'm hearing
Bush.
a
I'm
lot
not
of
worried
different
about
stories on
Trump.
the DEI, man, but
Me too.
I told myself, man, every time I got hired for the job, I had to be overqualified. I had to be
Of
fully
course, because you're
qualified.
black
My
and you're Muslim
qualifications had to be up to here. So they never hired me on no DEI purposes. They hired me on
or
my
merit.
qualifications, on what I
Right.
was capable of
Because
doing or what I
because
yeah.
when you're black, you have to get up earlier, stay
Mm-hmm.
later, and
Yeah.
work twice as hard just to break even.
Yeah.
So DEI beneficiaries were white women. That's been proven. Black men were at the
Yeah.
bottom, as we always are.
Yeah.
The same
Yeah.
way Barack made laws that benefited the LGBTQ and benefited
Mm-hmm.
Asians,
Mm-hmm.
anti-hate crime bills. But what about
Yeah.
us? Two
Yeah.
black Muslim, or at least they had Muslim names, 2 black twin brothers were killed recently in Georgia and found somewhere in the mountains. So who
Yeah.
protects us? Or do we
Yep.
even protect ourselves? So we have a lot of issues. And like you say, moving forward, solution is family. You have to have your faith, your finances, and your family in order. They kind of go hand in hand. And you don't have any faith, maybe you're an atheist, agnostic, whatever have you, your family and your finances need to be in order because Every empire that was ever built began from strong families. Strong
Mm-hmm.
families build strong communities. Strong communities build strong nations. That's how it goes. That leads to strong empires. We don't have strong
Definitely.
families. We have families that are divided, separated, and dysfunctional.
But
We
that
have
goes into
children
the
who
next
spend
topic.
18 hours on a cell
Mm-hmm.
phone.
That goes
How
into
is
the
your
next
child on cell
topic.
phone for 18 hours? Which is what?
Yep.
Fatherless home?
Fatherless homes. Fatherless homes,
Right.
man.
Right. So now we have to answer this question. What is it that's going on in our households that's driving men to say, yo, I'm tired, man. I had enough. I can't be here no more. I got to go. This woman don't respect me at all. Talking crazy, yelling, screaming, cussing, calling cops. How much of that can a man take before he says, I know I got 2 kids by her, but I think I'm probably going to better off working those 2 jobs, sending that check every week. Because she's driving me out of my natural mind. Why is it that our women don't respect us?
What
Now,
is
I
he
don't go through
doing?
that.
What
No,
are
what
we
is
doing?
she? No, right. No, that's what I'm asking the question. What is like I said to you before we got started recording, I don't know any black men that have ever woke up in the morning, yawned and stretched and said, you know what? I have a perfect wife, but I'm leaving.
Nah, nah,
You
nah,
all?
nah, nah,
Yeah,
nah, nah,
no,
nah,
no.
nah.
Yeah,
I,
I have a wife who listens, who cooks, who cleans, who makes love to me, but I'm leaving. No, that's not what happens. What
Jamil,
happens is the brother gets tired of the nonsense and then he vacates the premises. Then
Jamil,
they
I'm gonna
all
say
suffer.
this. I'm gonna say
Mm-hmm.
this. I'm gonna say this. You know, I'm for the brotherhood, man. You
Of
know,
course.
it's always about the
What a brother,
brotherhood.
of course.
But being for the brotherhood, I can't
Mm-hmm.
allow us to just, go why
Unchecked.
is this lady doing this here? Why is this,
Right.
why is he
Because we're
stressing?
at
Why
fault
she don't
too.
respect me? Why?
We're at fault too.
We are at fault. We got to hold
Right.
ourselves accountable, man. We got to hold
So
ourselves
now that
accountable.
I mentioned the women, right? Let's go to the men. So now,
Cause
no, we can't leave them out. But let's look at the scenario
yeah.
the way it really is. Who
Mm-hmm.
chose who? Do we choose them or they choose us? Because if my daughter chose you as her husband, she should have vetted you first. I should have vetted you. What kind of man is Ismail before we let him in our family? The problem is these young girls are moving on their own and they're going
Mm.
out here getting pregnant and getting dudes. And by the time we finally meet the dude and find out he's a nobody, ain't about nothing, sure got a hump on the stomach. So we need to go back to the old way of doing things. You just don't label my daughter. I have to meet you
Mm-hmm.
first. You have to get
Mm-hmm.
married first. I have to know who you are, who's your family, what's your background, and how you're going to provide for my daughter. We don't have that structure no more because nowadays people are so independent. They feel like, you know
That's not
what?
happening.
I'll go meet with Johnny, get knocked up, and then I'll come
Yeah.
back and tell Abu I'm
Yeah.
pregnant. Pregnant by who?
Yeah. That's not
By
happening no
Johnny.
more.
Johnny
Yeah.
who?
That
Yeah.
structure's not in place no more.
And that's a problem. And
Yeah.
so things don't begin right, usually don't end right.
Yeah.
So
You're right.
we definitely
You're
didn't
right.
come on the show to have a woman bashing session because
Mm-hmm.
those are the mothers of civilization. That's how we got here was through a woman's womb. So we're not here to bash the woman, but we are here to say, what role do we each play? So let's go to the men. The role we play, unfortunately, I know our young men want to do 50-50. They don't really want to pay no bills. They really don't want to be in a house. They want to play video games all day long. They want to have BS jobs. No, my man. You are a man. Your duty is 3 minimum. Provide, maintain, and protect. Unfortunately, those 40 hours at McDonald's ain't gonna cut it for a marriage.
Can I
Unfortunately,
add
those 40
something?
hours, go ahead, by all means.
Can I add something?
Hmm.
I want to add something. Maybe take you. If you want to look at this, I want to give a different perspective because
Go ahead.
you said something a while ago about the sins of the father and us, and how what we did is we followed the same outline of our
Of
fathers,
course we
and
did. Yeah.
doing certain things, having kids, not planning properly, having more kids.
Hmm.
So it's the generation is different. The generation is much different.
Hmm.
When we were growing up, we watched our mothers and our fathers together, and they had a level of respect and cohesiveness with each other, especially if we
Of
had two
course.
parents and we watched them, quote unquote, how we could say it, we watched them rock.
Right.
They stood. There was a rock for each other.
Hmm.
Um, I think that our fathers didn't teach us how to be emotionally available for these type of women, and we're not teaching these kids, these young
I
kids,
agree.
how to be emotionally available for these type of women.
I agree.
You know, these women are very emotional. These younger women, extremely emotional.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's a serious. You know what I'm saying? That's a different
Mm-hmm.
perspective. But we're not teaching these young men how to be emotionally available, knowing that we done made those same mistakes. Our fathers done made
Uh-huh.
those same mistakes, but we not these young kids are not being taught how to be emotionally available for these type of
Mm-hmm.
women of this time. So
Not
that's
only
a
that's a very
disconnect.
good point you made. A very big disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
The Quran says that she is your garment and you are hers.
Nah.
The Quran says, or Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best among you is he who's best to his family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be Elon Musk to be the best of my family, but I
Mm-hmm.
gotta make some fulus.
Yeah, you
Gotta
got to
make
make
some
some
dough.
money.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
got.
yeah, yeah.
There's no way around it. I don't have to have Jay-Z money. I gotta have some money,
Mm-hmm.
and
For sure.
especially if I'm a type of man who likes to have nightly relations with my wife, and every 9 months she's pregnant again.
Mm-hmm.
Now we on child number 5, 6, 7, 8. Just think about some basic economic realities. I
Mm-hmm.
have 8 sons, and they all want Jordans. 8 of them. The baby Jordans cost $80. The other Jordans, the kid is 12 years old. He wearing size 10 like me. I have 8 sons. They need haircuts. I'm not a barber. I have
Mm-hmm.
8 sons. They need jeans and underwear and socks. Brother, was I thinking what I was making? What I was making? Was I thinking? Where do you have to be economically to provide for 8 sons? Or even
Mm-hmm.
4 daughters and four
Mm-hmm.
sons? I'm not for birth control. I'm never not for abortion. And I know what Allah says in the Quran, do not kill your children out of fear of the fact you may not be able to provide for them. Verily, I will provide for you and them. Allah is Al-Razak. We're not questioning that.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying, practically speaking, in America, how do you provide for a wife and 8 children if you have
Mm-hmm.
no job skills? If you have no education? You're going to
It's
lose
very
your
difficult.
natural
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
Then let's say you have 8 children by the same woman, and she starts asking you, Habibi, we don't have anything. We've been eating rice and beans for the last 12 days. Can't you do anything about this? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. I'm doing the best I can. You still in here complaining about this and the third? And you're fighting in front of the kids.
Yeah.
Over what? Economics.
Yeah.
And maybe you are working 2 jobs, but 40 hours at Wegmans and 40 hours at Walmart ain't gonna cut it for 8 children that you made. Who fault is that? Now,
Gotta
maybe if
stop
you're a
having them
master,
kids, man.
maybe if you're a master plumber, maybe if you're an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, a real estate broker, work on Wall Street, maybe you have a little bit of a cushion where maybe I could buy 4 of your Jordans this week and the other 4 next week. How about that? But when you're doing Wegmans, Wendy's, McDonald's, I don't see no J's for your children.
Mm.
I don't see no Xboxes and PS5s. And these are luxuries. These are things
Yeah.
that kids, want and
Yeah.
I think could do if they're good kids in school.
Mm-hmm.
When I grew up, brother, the kind of money that it costs for one pair of sneakers, my father gave mother that for 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got like $120 for school clothes for all 3 of us.
Yeah.
My mother must have been a master mathematician. I don't know how she pulled that sum
Mm-hmm.
off. But we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have much though. We got laughed
Yeah.
at. We got gave though we were poor. You don't want a kid to get laughed at in school today because that could end up in violence, or that could also end up in a child wanting to commit crime because he's been so ridiculed and hurt. He's like, you know what? I don't care no more. I'm gonna go out here and sell drugs. I ain't gonna have that no more. I'm gonna have the this and that and the third. When you
The
talk to
game
kids
still
who,
the
go ahead.
game still exists today?
Oh, without question, the players have
It do?
changed. The game's still the
Yeah.
same, bro. Kids still get
Game
laughed at in
still
school.
yeah.
Kids still get laughed at in school. Kids still get
I'm
clowned
talking
on.
about I know the days of the corner boys gone. Is that still exist? I don't know.
You got kids in, I think as long as you have capitalism, you have competition. As long as you're capitalism, you're going to have kids in school laughing at other kids for being poor, for wearing last year's clothes, things that are out
Yeah.
of style. That human nature is human nature. The time, the year may change, the game remains the same. You know what I mean? I don't
Mm.
want to wear a coat when my arms are coming out the coat up here. And I'm here like that's the
Yeah.
coat too small for me. I don't want to wear hand-me-downs. No kid
Yeah.
does. We
Not
from
today.
Brooklyn. You know how it is. I mean,
Yeah,
we want the name brands. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
even if your kids aren't flossing, so to speak, you still want them to be clean and neat and have
yeah.
decent clothes.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go shopping for 8 children? I just don't know. If you don't have skills, you're a lawyer, a doctor, engineer, entrepreneur. How do you do that? Now, the woman might say, let me help you out. I'm going to go in the workforce or I'm work from home. She pulling 25, 30K a year. You got 2 jobs. You might be pulling 60 if you're lucky. On the surface, it seems like 60, 25. Yeah, we at 85. It's still 8 kids, bro. It's still 8 kids.
Problem is, one of the problems is too that women are better money planners and better money managers than
Sometimes,
men are.
yeah. Hmm.
So that's a lot of the disconnect too, man. Why the men are leaving the house, man? Because they getting hit on that aspect. I'm not saying that I don't. We as men and women, we both don't share the responsibility in making sure that we keep the household together.
Right.
But if a man is making bad, poor financial decisions, and she says, "All right, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna go out here and work," and
Hmm.
she's making good financial decisions, and
Hmm.
he's out there working, but he's still making poor financial decisions, and they coming together, but the ends just don't meet somehow. She's
He's a
going to
poor steward
eventually
of money.
start
That's a
to,
problem.
yeah, she's going to eventually start to
That
say,
can
"Listen,
also
man, listen,
cause a disconnect.
yeah, yeah, for
That's
sure,
why,
for
that's
sure."
why the good book says, be ye not unequally yoked. If we're not on
Mm,
the same page, how are we going to be on the same team? That
mm,
goes back to the vetting. Why is she out here making babies with men I don't even know about? Then
mm-hmm,
by the time I meet the dude, he's already family because of the bloodline. But yet he's not somebody I would have chosen for her. But nowadays nobody does family planning, arranged marriages, or I meet the brother before he knocks my daughter up. That don't happen no
mm-hmm,
more. That
mm-hmm,
causes more problems.
mm-hmm,
Because now what happens is, grandpa, you're a grandfather. Grandpa
mm-hmm,
ended up raising the children. Grandma ended up raising the children.
mm-hmm.
So again, what do I always say? When things that usually don't begin right, usually don't end right. Now we
Yep.
all have 20 years to deal with this situation. Of course, we have the young ones are here, but what's the quality of their life? What's the quality of your daughter's life if she has to watch your children and then watch her grandchildren while working for Amazon online in the house? Babies got to be changed. They got to be washed, cleaned, bathed. They got to learn reading, writing, arithmetic. She has to cook, look good for you, and give Amazon 40 hours a week.
She's
That's
gonna be
stress, brother.
frustrated. Yeah, she's gonna be
Oh,
frustrated.
Lord. Say it one more time,
And
brother. She's
guess
gonna be
what?
what?
She's gonna be
Frustrated, right?
frustrated for
Yeah, no
sure.
question.
And guess who her
No
target is?
question.
Guess who her
You,
target is? Oh yeah, oh yeah,
you.
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna say, I'm at Wegmans, I'm not getting no overtime. I'm at Price Shop, I'm not getting no overtime. I'm applying for a city job. I ain't gonna pay much more. I'm not, but you gonna get good benefits. But I'm
Mm,
not getting no overtime though.
mm-hmm.
Let me let me go be a CO. Okay? 25, 28, $30 an hour. It's still 8 kids though. See, $30 an hour in Binghamton, New York is good money when you have no children.
Mm-hmm.
Once I throw you 2 or 3 child support cases, you broke. You need to sell, you need to do something on the side. Legal or
Going
illegally.
back to the going back to the economics part, it's
Right.
like you said, you know, and this is advice for people listening and people, that's gonna listen to this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you said, people don't know nothing about sacrifice.
Uh,
When I remember so many times that, you know, and I was one of the men that had a lot of kids. I had a lot of
mm-hmm.
kids and I'm struggling trying to figure out jobs. I'm
Mm-hmm.
in Brooklyn, New York on I think it was somewhere on Herkimer, right
Come on.
behind, I'm a
Oh,
Herkimer in
that's
New
that.
York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm sitting in the security booth and I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna feed all these kids. And
Mm.
still with younger
That's a lot.
kids and my wife's still pregnant. And I'm
That's a
still
lot
thinking,
of
my
feet.
mindset, you know what I'm saying? My mindset is, I'm gonna make something work. But I decided to that's when I decided to choose plumbing to try to, because I said first things first.
Smart.
I gotta get rid of the distractions of my surroundings.
Yes.
That's the first things first. Because we getting
Mm-hmm.
high, we doing stupid stuff, we still doing stupid
Mm-hmm.
stuff. That's what you know what I'm saying?
I
We still
understand.
doing dumb stuff,
I was
and
around.
we bringing that back home, thinking that because
That's
that be the
terrible.
issue too. That be
That's
the issue
terrible.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you say I'm working 2 jobs, I'm working Wegmans, I'm working here, I'm working there, but I
Mm-hmm.
gotta stop at the bar, man, to get rid of the
Mm-hmm.
stress of these jobs and take a
Mm-hmm.
little swig, or
Mm-hmm.
roll me a L. I gotta do
Mm-hmm.
all of these things to take the stress off, and you bringing
Mm-hmm.
that stuff home with you.
That's
You
fitna.
expect exactly. You expect
Mm-hmm.
a stable environment when you
Mm-hmm.
doing the things that aren't correct, and then we say, what do we say? Man, this woman, man, she ain't supporting me. She don't support me. She don't. You bringing this bad aura home with you. You bringing this
Go
bad
back. Go
aura home.
back. Go back to the source. The Quran says in Surah Nisa, men are the maintainers
Yep.
and protectors of women because
Yep.
Allah has given one more than the other, and because
Mm-hmm.
we provide for them out of our means.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say that. The book
Yeah.
says we provide for them out of our means.
Mm.
She don't even have to help you out if not believe she don't want to. That's your duty.
Mm.
She can.
Exactly. She
She
can.
can. And many want to always quote Khadija radiallahu anha. Yeah,
Mm.
but are you a Khadija? Are you a
Yeah.
Muhammad? Let's keep it real here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying she can't help, but it's not her duty. Because
I
if
would say
she's
this.
running around taking care of 8 children, her hands
Yeah.
are full, bro.
Full.
If
And then
she
she going to
tells
work.
you she gonna go on Amazon and work a night shift, you got a good wife.
That's what I was
That's
about
the
to
story.
say. That's
You got a
exactly
good
what I was about
wife.
to tell you.
Yeah, you
If
got
you
a good
got
wife.
somebody that's going to do all that and
Do
just
all
say I'm
that.
going to help you, you got a good
Yeah,
wife. You got to
yeah.
man up.
If she
You got to
says
mature up.
and she says out of the Amazon checks,
Yeah.
I'll cover the gas and electric, and I'll pay for the
Boom.
food. You cover
Boom.
the mortgage.
You
You
got
have
a
a
good
good
wife.
wife, and you should
You got a
spoil
good
her.
wife.
You should find a
Yep.
way to make some real money and take that burden off her shoulders. That's what I
Exactly.
think.
Exactly.
Because we were told to what? Be kind to women, right?
That's
We're
right.
told to oppress them. We're told to be
That's right.
kind to them, right? And when
Yep.
the Lord gives her kindness, He doesn't give her harshness.
Mm.
So how do you be kind to her? Well, that's how you bought her a gift. Took her out
Mm.
to eat. Took her
Mm.
on a vacation. You
Mm-hmm.
ain't even got the time because you can't even afford to miss when they're at work.
Mm.
Because of your poor family planning. You
Mm.
mean well, I'm not calling you a bum. You at Wegmans and you at Walmart. Nobody calling you a bum. You
Mm.
working. But you're working at dead end jobs. Ain't like you're gonna be
Mm-hmm.
the supervisor next week or the manager. Where we going with this? And even if you are, that's what? That's more responsibilities. Just a little bit more pay.
Yeah. For a little
You're
bit
better
more pay.
you're right. You're better off being a barber, a carpenter, a
Entrepreneur.
plumber, an engineer, an
Yeah,
entrepreneur.
engineer. Yeah.
Because now you're not exchanging dollars for hours.
Yeah.
See, if I have a booming website, that means oils and incense are being sold while I speak to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not there yet. That's
Mm-hmm.
my goal. But if I have a booming
Okay.
website where I'm making money in my sleep, I told the issue right long.
Yeah.
It's cha-ching in my ear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But if I don't, I got to be somewhere in order to make money. So that means I'm trading dollars for hours. Hours and dollars.
Mm-hmm.
That's no way to really get rich. You're going to make some
Yep.
money. But what about if Ish had a company where he could be at home with his family? He's the master plumber, but he got 2 entrepreneurs under him, entrepreneurs, apprentices,
Mm-hmm.
and he could tell them, I need you on Walnut Street. I need you on Arthur. When you leave Arthur and Walnut, I got 2 more jobs for you out in Johnson City and 1 more job for you in Vestal.
Mm-hmm.
Now they get a cut of that money and you get a cut. But you at home with your
Mm-hmm.
hours, though. She'd
That's
be
right.
happy about that, I'm sure.
Mm.
But if
Mm.
Ish got to go out and get under the sink, that take 4 hours.
Exactly.
Hopefully he could bill somebody $800 for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, sweetheart, I'm home now. I've been going all day. I made $1,600 though. Buy you something nice, take you out somewhere. And then again, I keep going back to my scenario.
Mm-hmm.
You made $1,600 today, but it's 8 kids though. Not you, Ish. I'm talking to general.
No. In
It's
general,
16.
I see what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah,
I see
it's
where you're
1,600.
going. Yeah.
Oh, listen, a
800.
great day.
Still
Listen,
still 8
I'll make
kids.
1,600 in the oil game all day long. But 8 kids?
Still 8 kids.
Yikes. Right.
Yeah.
And now I got to hope
And
that tomorrow I can get another job for 2,000.
yeah.
Some
Hope.
mortgage to pay, right? Hope.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, I said what? We make children and we what? We wish. We hope.
Yeah.
The other folks, they family plan. Like,
That's right.
listen, I know we're making $180,000 now, but I don't really want to share that with 8 children. So we're going to cut this off at 2 or 3. That's how they think. It's not how we
Mm-hmm.
think. You know what I mean? We're going to cut this off because to put 3 kids through Spelman and Morehouse, that's money, bro.
Oh yeah.
Harvard, Yale, and
Oh
Princeton,
yeah.
that's
Oh
money.
yeah.
And what if
Oh
we
yeah.
found, what if we had children who don't want to go to college, but they want to learn trades? Hey, Dad, I want to be a mechanic. That's money. May not be as much as Harvard, but I still got to provide for you the school to learn how to become a mechanic.
Mm.
Dad want to go to barber school. They ain't no 50,000, I don't think, but it's still gonna cost them some money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't want them caught up in a ribbon and loans. So I think we
No.
have to think before we do. Think before we
Yeah.
do. Because
I hope
the funny
so.
thing is, I know many foreign Muslims who are millionaires, they only got 2 kids. Now, if you got to divide $1 million between 2 kids and a wife, y'all good. Y'all real good. Really good. So it's just, I think it's a matter of planning, thinking, sacrificing, being determined, and being focused. When Warren Buffett and Bill Gates was asked the same question at the same time, what is the key to success? These dudes said simultaneously, FOCUS,
Yeah.
focus. And
Focus.
then they both said the same time, said, focus.
And you know what
How
else
can
they
you
said
focus on
during that
anything with
stat?
8 children and a wife?
You know what else they said during that statement?
What's that?
The amount of times you could say no.
That matters too.
No,
That
I'm
matters
not
too.
doing this. I'm doing this. Because that
Right,
comes with the focus. You know,
right,
we say we're focusing, but we sway and say, yo, man, they're having a big festival over here, man. I can,
right.
I did enough work. Maybe I can put my new sneakers on, and maybe I can,
Poor choice.
maybe I can
Poor choice.
enjoy the
Poor
festivals
choice.
or the barbecue at the park for just this weekend, just
Let,
this weekend.
let's look at the men, some men we know who are successful and what kind of time they put in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with my favorite. I love martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Lee worked out 5 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're still talking about Bruce Lee 50 years after his death. 5 hours a day, 7 days a week, 2
Mm-hmm.
children and a wife.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about Mayweather. He got some issues. Been to
Mm-hmm.
jail before. Domestic
Mm-hmm.
violence, unfortunately. I love him. I am his judge. He said he does 3 a days. 3 a days? Yeah, while you sleeping here in the gym. Then he gets up and goes back to the gym. Then he goes back to the gym. That's why he's 50-0. Because while other boxers were going to the gym once a day and working out for 3 or 4 hours, he's putting that work in, going home, resting and eating. Get him doing it again and again. To be
Mm-hmm.
a Kobe Bryant, to be a Floyd Mayweather, to be a Jordan, your work ethic has to be different. Those are not average men. Your
Mm-hmm.
work ethic has to be different. He ain't 2 days. He said, I'm at the gym when my opponent is sleeping. That's why I'm going to win.
Mm-hmm.
He's good, but I'm great. He said many boxers are good at many things. I'm good at everything. Shoulder roll, hand speed, timing. That took dedication, determination, sacrifice, patience. So when other dudes was drinking, sipping, sniffing, and partying and fornicating, they would say, I'm at the gym, bro. I don't know what you're doing. I'm at the gym. I'll do all that when I'm done winning. So to be great, it requires a different kind of sacrifice. Take
I want to
fasting.
know,
Go ahead.
you think about those guys that you mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mayweather,
uh, they
Jordan,
did what they had to
Kobe.
do to make their money, and
Yes, they
they
did.
excelled at their
At their
fields and
craft.
the things that they did,
Right,
boxing, Kobe, basketball, this and this,
right.
but
Tiger
I
Woods,
want to
golf.
be able to tell uh uh young men and older men in this era, you know, to excel at life, and be good and great at what they do, and don't skip their morality or don't lose their morality. Like how can those both coincide?
Excellent
You know what
point.
I'm saying?
It's
Don't
called the B
lose your
word, balance.
morality. Yeah, you got to
Balance.
find a
My
balance with
time.
morality,
Balance. My act.
you
Balance.
know, and focus and being good at what you do. There got to be a
Um,
balance in between that.
King Solomon said there's a time and place for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's key. There's a
Mm-hmm.
time and place for everything. It's a time to laugh, a time to cry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a time for everything. So I don't think Mayweather missed any fun. I don't think he missed any meals. I don't think Kobe missed any fun or any meals. But what I
Mm-hmm.
do think is this. I love Allen Iverson. Love him. I'm looking at
Yeah.
him right now. He's in my man cave. Love Allen
Yeah.
Iverson. But Allen Iverson will tell you that when he told Kobe to drop him off at the club, he asked Kobe, where you going? Kobe said, I'm going to the gym. Said it one more time. When
Uh,
he's riding around in a luxury car with Kobe, Kobe said, where you want to go? He said, drop me off at the club. Kobe said, I'm going to the gym. Fast forward,
mm,
AI has no rings.
yeah.
Kobe has 5.
Yeah.
I love them both.
Yeah.
But and AI was so talented, they said that on the off season, he didn't have to practice. He just come in the game and drop 40.
Yeah.
Kobe, like on my off season, I'm gonna do what Shaq ain't doing. I don't practice. And
Yeah.
Kobe said if Shaq had his work ethic, he'd have been the GOAT. That's
Mm.
how dominant and talented Shaq was. But Shaq, by his own
Mm-hmm.
admission, come on, man, I done already caught a ring. I'm good. I'm good. I got
Oh,
millions. I'm good.
yeah.
That'll get you 3 rings. To get 5 and 6, you got to be like Kobe. You got to be like Jordan.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
be doing, and like 50 Cent said, in order to have what others don't, you have to be willing to do what others won't.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple.
It's
So
just
they
that
said
simple.
Kobe's shooting baskets in the dark. Yo, where'd you do that at? But that's why we still talking about him. When Kobe died, I had a store on Monroe Street in Endicott. I was
Mm-hmm.
so hurt by him dying. About 8 o'clock at night, I closed my store. I drew the curtains. And I sat in my chair and I cried. I didn't even
Mm.
know him. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of my favorite ball players. He's gone now. Him
Mm-hmm.
and his daughter died on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Devastating to his family. He's
Mm-hmm.
gone now. Never to come back. You know what I mean? So he touched the lives of many, but one thing I always thought about him was his desire to win.
Yeah.
Everybody don't have that. He had a desire to win. Like, in other words, I don't want to be mediocre. I don't want to be average.
I want to
My
be.
father, my
I
father
want to
told
be
me,
great.
son, be the best at whatever it is you could be. So Ish,
Mm-hmm.
you my man. Be the best plumber you could be, bro.
Oh, you
Don't
know I
worry,
try to do that.
reward is coming with that.
You
Yeah,
know I try to do
don't be
that.
an average plumber because you got some children.
Mm-mm.
Be the best
Mm-mm.
plumber you can be.
Mm-hmm.
Being an average
Am I?
plumber earns you some work, but it won't get you all the work that
I'm
you
gonna tell you
need.
this much. You know, my
Hmm.
field is not, you know, African American dominant.
Oh no, no, a lot
Not
of
at all.
foreigners, white folks.
So, um, me at being trying to be great at what I do,
Hmm.
that kind of rubs people wrong, rubs feathers wrong sometimes. If I'm on a job site somewhere and they're looking like, you know, and I'm the only African American brother, or
Hmm.
maybe it's two plumbers on there and everybody else is, of a different ethnic background, and
Right.
they looking like, man, why you doing what you do? Why you,
Uh-huh.
man, look at his work. And I go into crafting now, man. I mean, when I'm doing plumbing, I'm trying to I'm trying to paint a portrait.
Right.
That's
No,
how
and
I'm
you
doing it.
should. You know
Yeah,
why? Because you have a legacy to leave.
yeah.
You have children and grandchildren. And
Mm-hmm.
I had to teach myself I'm an underachiever. I teach myself, listen, being mediocre, get you mediocre results.
Oh
And when
yeah.
other people depend on you to eat, you can't be mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. There's too many people in your field, Ish, that do
Gotta move
what
the
you
camera
do.
down a little bit.
Oh, right
Yeah, I
here.
can't see you. Yeah,
You
yeah,
see
yeah.
me now?
There you go. Yeah, I
All
see
right.
you there.
There's too many people
Yep.
in your field to be mediocre.
Oh yeah.
Because when I call somebody for a job in my house, I don't want mediocrity. I want the
Mm.
best plumber there is. And I want to pay that
Yeah.
price too. I want the
Yeah.
job done right the first time. I want to call
Yeah.
you back. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I think we should all strive for greatness. I think it's in us all. Everybody can't be a Jordan, I understand that. But you can strive to be better than you are.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody ain't gonna be a Mayweather. But you can strive to be
Mm-hmm.
better today than you were yesterday. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you can. Without
Yeah.
question. And
Yeah.
I think we have to do what the wealthy boys said. Focus.
Focus.
Focus. That's all. Focus on your craft.
And to jump into our last topic,
Mm-hmm.
dealing with focus and going back to focus and wrapping everything all up into what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we got to be careful about, and I always wanted to, I think we stuck this in last on the topic that we were talking about, social conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very important, because that's what's happening to a lot of people, getting people distracted. That's where the
Uh-huh.
distractions is coming from, the social conditioning.
Uh-huh.
social media is just so.
It's a beast. It's a beast.
Oh yeah, it's a beast, boy.
And guess what? Like I said to you earlier, your child is on the phone 18 hours a day,
Mm,
learning nothing.
nothing.
If I give a child a cell phone and say, hey, I'm going to work, I'll be back. When I get back, if I ask them to name me the 9 planets, what's that? Wait a minute, you've been home all day. You didn't do no history, no math, no science. You have a smartphone in your hand. I asked you who killed Kennedy. You're like, who's Kennedy? You're 9, 10, 12 years old. What are you learning in school? There's no history being taught?
But what's the idea
Okay,
about it? What's the
yeah,
idea behind
you
it?
don't,
I
you
don't need
don't
to know
know
that
world.
information. I can Google it.
Well, oh, right. You
I don't
can
need to know.
Google it, but you've been at home all day doing nothing, watching sex videos, watching twerking, watching music. How
Mm,
about use a phone to make some money? It's called
mm,
a smartphone, right? You move any
yeah.
stock? You did any trading? Did you open a business? Did you learn how to do any plumbing, any carpentry? Because everything I'm saying, you can learn from YouTube. Everything I just mentioned, you can learn from YouTube. You need some hands on and do what you did to get your certifications, but you
Yeah.
can start with just YouTube videos. YouTube is video on how to do anything. But you're more drawn to the filth, that which rides on lower frequencies.
Yeah.
That's what children are at. And we pay for their cell phones and don't even monitor it. Because let's go back to what we said earlier. How can you monitor what your 9-year-old is watching when you're 40 hours at Wegmans and 40 hours at Walmart? How can the wife keep up when she's 40 hours at Amazon?
Mm.
8 kids, bro. 8 kids. So you say
You
how
keep
we
going back to that. Hey, kids, huh?
yeah, no, because listen, we can only number. If she had
I
five
heard that.
kids,
I
if she
heard
had
that.
5 kids,
I
how are
mean,
you gonna
I'm with you.
monitor? Yeah, how you gonna
Yeah.
monitor what every kid is doing? There's 5 kids. She's on night shift. You're at Wegmans and you're at Walmart. We can't call
Yeah.
you a bum. You're doing the
Nah.
best you can to
That's
provide for
right.
your family.
That's
But
right.
because you made some poor decisions, you're $15 from Walmart an hour.
Yeah.
You're $17 from Wegmans. Still ain't cutting the mustard. And you're
Nah.
doing the best you can. You don't
And
even
your
have
kids is
time to go
being
to school.
conditioned by social media.
That's a real father and mother.
That's it.
What is your
That's it.
ilah? Your ilah is that what you worship, right?
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
giving 18 hours a day to a phone? That's frightening. Who's raising your children? YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Then you
TikTok.
want to know why she went out there and married a bum or
Yep.
didn't marry the bum. Got knocked
Yep.
up by one. Her
Yep.
mind was stolen 8 years ago by her
Mm-hmm.
phone. You wasn't on your post. And if I ask you about it, you're gonna say, yo, don't judge me. I'm doing the best I can. I had 2 jobs.
Mm.
Not calling you a bum, bro. But the decisions that you made has now cost us another generation.
I
Because
think
things gonna be rough now if she got a child at 17 years old out of wedlock.
I'm gonna say
Who
this.
watching that child?
I think for us, being that we see it and our kids don't see it as much, I think they see it a little bit. Especially our kids that have kids.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of see it a little bit, and they want to
Mm-hmm.
change the cycle, and they want to do things differently. But
Uh-huh.
being that we made the mistakes that we made, I think, Jamil, that we're gonna have to kick in a lot more with our grandkids.
Oh, that's a must, brother.
I think we're gonna have to
I
kick
had
in a
one
lot more
turn
with our
10 years old
grandkids.
yesterday. Yeah, we
Yeah,
have to.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think so.
yeah.
I had my grandson over here one evening, right? Two of
Mm-hmm.
my grandsons, and they got this. They being social conditioned by these tablets,
Mm-hmm.
and they got tablets and devices. I mean, he's a young guy, but he doesn't have a cell
Mm-hmm.
phone, but he got a tablet. I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
he's glued. He's on this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every time I took it from him or take it from him, he had terrible fits, right?
How old is he?
So, I think he's 4 or 5, about 4 or 5.
That means
Yeah,
he's already conditioned. That's
yeah,
crazy.
he's already conditioned.
Yeah.
I took it from him. He had a horrible fit, man. I mean, he fell out. It was bad. I mean,
Good
you
Lord.
know, I'm mad at grandpa. I don't like grandpa. Grandpa's mean, blah, 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 blah. I let him go through it for a little bit, but then I grabbed his
Mm-hmm.
hand. I held his hand because, it's not like our era, man. I'm going to beat this kid because this kid is acting
No,
out.
no, that's not the
We
solution.
can't
No,
do that no more. No,
You need
that's
more
not the
love and
way that's
compassion
not the
and
way to
more
go.
understanding.
Yeah.
Some
So I grabbed his
sternness, but
hand.
some love and compassion, though.
Yeah, I grabbed his
Mm-hmm.
hand, sat him on the couch with me, and sat him on my lap, and I grabbed a few
Mm-hmm.
books and started reading to him. He was
Mm-hmm.
still throwing his head back, but as
Of
I kept
course, you don't want to hear
reading,
that. Mm-hmm.
no, he kept looking up, and I just
Mm-hmm.
kept reading and reading and reading. And
Mm-hmm.
then it became an evening when we were reading books, and he was involved
Nice.
in the story, and he was this and he was
Nice.
that. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
about directing them. It's about directing them. I can tell you, you know, we're going to have to help our kids out a lot, man,
I'm
with
glad you had the time
stepping
to
in there
find to do
with
that.
our grandkids, man. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're
That
gonna
took
have to do
time.
that.
That's very
Hmm.
honorable and noble, and it took time out of your day.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Again, I feel for the guy who's 40 hours at Walmart, 40 hours
Hmm.
at Wegman. He may
And he
hear
can't.
about the tantrum because
Yeah,
mom may tell him, baby, while I was moving things up for Amazon, this kid was on the floor screaming and hollering and acting a fool. I couldn't even do my job. He's
yeah.
like, he was up 11 o'clock at night screaming and hollering while you at
Right.
Amazon. Are you serious? He
What
wouldn't go to
happened to the
bed?
bedtime?
Yeah. And see, we totally skip that. These kids are ruled by gadgets.
Hmm.
It's gadget central, and you can't get them out of it. It's like my man called TV the one-eyed demon because it locks you in.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can multitask with the music. I can work out, do this, but the TV locks you. Like right now, I'm on a podcast. I'm locked in. I'm not
Yeah,
multitasking. I'm locked in. I'm doing something right now.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't do martial arts right now. Do that when I'm done. I can't read right now. I'm talking to you. So these kids are so locked in. Their mind, as my godmother told my ex-wife once, you letting her get off the computer at 8 o'clock at night. It
Mm.
takes 2 hours before she goes to sleep because her mind has to unwind from all that that's in her head from the computer. And she's been all
Yeah.
day. I had an ex-wife who let her daughter be on the computer from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. I know what's wrong with her. Like, why would you allow that? She didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
be a forceful parent, so she didn't want the child to, she wasn't going to force her to do anything. This is very dangerous. I find a lot of single mothers, they have a tendency to
Mm-hmm.
want to be friends with their children. I'm not
Mm.
my child's friend. I'm
Mm-hmm.
father first, friend second.
That's it.
Once you become a child's friend, you will be manipulated. It's only a matter of
Yep.
time.
Yep.
You will, and to see a 2 or 3 or 4 year old manipulate a 30 or 40 year old, like who's the
Mm.
boss here? Who
Yeah.
run this house?
Yeah.
Who the king of this castle?
Mm-hmm.
Then mommy don't want to be mean, and no, it's not mean to give a child structure. It's not mean to say, you know what? Between 3 and 6, be on the tablet. I don't care. Enjoy
Yeah.
yourself. Do what you do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at 6, we're doing some reading. At
Yep.
7, you're taking a bath. 8 o'clock, you're in bed. And
Hold
we're
their
not
hand.
going to deviate from the routine.
That's it.
We're not going
Hold
to
their
deviate. And you
hand.
know what? You know what? And then if there's a divorce, God forbid, you have to hope and pray that the mother's on the same page as you, because then when a child come back to you, the child be like, well, when I'm at house, I do what I want to do. What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What? Then when you
Yeah.
call her, it's an argument between you and her or you and her new husband over your child.
Yeah.
Dysfunction. It's an argument between you and her or you and her husband over your child and the bedtime and what they eat and how much time is on the tablet. You have to be on one accord, even if y'all didn't work out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get more dysfunction. And
I think
dysfunction breeds dysfunction.
that gotta be the agreement, man. If you're going through a separation, sometimes divorce is necessary. Sometimes it is
I agree.
necessary.
I agree.
You gotta make that the agreement, man. That what we go through and what we do don't spill over to the kids. It's about
Right.
raising these kids properly. So
Right. And the kids,
we
on
we
an ending note, the kids absorb everything.
yes they
Even when you
do.
think they're not listening, they're listening.
We up against our
So,
time, Jamil. We
all
about
right,
to hit our
Ish,
time.
always a
But
pleasure.
what I want you to do, man, is for us, man,
Hmm.
for everybody listening, if possible, man, you could sum this all up, man, and give some advice, man, to how can we change the aspect of what we're doing here? How can all of these things that we just talked about, the social conditioning, the fatherless homes, the reason behind all these bad economics, bad choices, no planning. I mean, what's some advice, man, you would give to somebody if somebody was sitting down in front of you, a young person that made all these bad choices, and say, listen, OG, what you think I should do? What's some advice for me?
Step by step, tackle it. Step by step, get your affairs in order. As long as you're breathing, it's not too late. As long as you're breathing, it's not too late. but time waits for no man.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're sitting around waiting for a miracle to happen, you could be waiting forever. Time waits for no man. Get your affairs in order. Each one teach one. I don't want to go a lot of cliches, but each one teach one. If I'm passing on advice to a 30-year-old, because I'm 54, he should pass advice on to a 17-year-old. Listen, bro, I'm 30. Here's some mistakes I made that you don't want to make because I'm suffering. I'm
Mm-hmm.
struggling. I need a
Mm-hmm.
bid. I can't carry a gun legally. I can't vote. Or I can't get a job. So pass it on. Let's not be secretive about this knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Each one teach one. And remember, there are certain principles and prices. There's certain prices you're going to have to pay for success. It don't come easy. So if you want your affairs in order, like you mentioned, emotional connection. We're emotionally disconnected from our wives. We got to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we'll stop making babies we can't afford.
Mm-hmm.
Stop making babies out of wedlock, creating broken homes. You're not going to marry her? Don't even get started with her. I don't care how fine she is. Because you're going to cause more harm than good. And stop thinking because you pay child support that makes you a good father. Children need more than money. They need
Mm-hmm.
time. And how much
Yeah.
time can you give them if you're struggling with 2 jobs to make ends meet? And I kept using the number 8. It could be 5. It could be 4. Even 3 children are a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This note, the figure that I was told in the year 2011, I think, was that to raise a child from infancy to 18 is $250K. That's one child. We ain't talking about
Mm-hmm.
college, Harvard, Yale,
Mm-hmm.
Princeton, Morehouse,
Yeah.
Spelman, just to raise them. Pampers, wipes, sneakers, socks, this, that, and the third, basics, $250K. That was in 2010. Google it. See how much it costs to raise a child before you enter a woman lawfully or unlawfully and bring a life into this world that's going to cause frustration to you, the child, and the mother. Make wise choices. Because sometimes one wrong turn twitch you for the rest of your life. That young boy who stabbed that other boy, he's
Mm-hmm.
17, looking at 5 to 99 years. His life changed like that
Like that.
forever. For a
Yep.
quick move. He went in his bag, he grabbed a knife, he poked the kid in the heart. The kid died.
Mm.
Life as he knows it will
It's
never,
over.
ever be the same again.
It's totally just changed.
All you
So
can wish
hopefully,
for is
man,
maybe 20 years and he comes home and still has time to have some life left.
hopefully,
Yep.
hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully, man, listen, when you out and about, even, just keep giving advice to young people, man. I do it on
So I
a
can
daily
do.
basis, man.
Yeah, me
If
too, Ish.
somebody want to lend an ear or somebody want to pull you
Yeah.
over and say, yo,
Uh-huh.
listen, man, I got a question. Just keep giving advice to these young
That's
people,
Seneca.
man, as
That's
much as we
Seneca.
can, man. Yeah,
That's the cop.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
It's
But
always a
I
pleasure, man.
appreciate you coming on, man.
I'm honest that you're happy, brother.
Oh, no doubt.
Yep.
No doubt.
Yep.
No doubt, man.
Thank you, Ish.
The next time I'm in Atlanta, I'm going to hit you up.
Indeed, man. Peace and love, King. Be good.
All right, peace.
All right.
Assalamu alaikum.